Hello, welcome to Old Virginia Homes. Imagine being sound asleep in your blissfully comfortable bed when out of nowhere you're jolted awake by a group of men who bursts into your room, demanding that you identify yourself. You do, and you are immediately and brutally dragged out of the sanctity of your home into the dark of the night. Taken hostage, kidnapped. Well, that's exactly what happened in the house we're visiting today. A stunning home that was built in the late 18th century and eventually belonged to the Washington family. Yes, those Washingtons. The house became entangled in a crossroad of our American history. Although originally built in Virginia, the home is now part of Jefferson County, West Virginia. So join me as we visit Bellair, an old West Virginia home near Harper's Ferry. Let's go. The house now known as Bellair was built in the late 18th century. The historic estate has connections to the Washington family and stands as a silent storyteller of American history, from a land of early settlers, next belonging to the Washington family, and eventually taking part in a dramatic moment that rippled through the nation. Sometime before 1800, Thomas Bell built a sturdy stone house on this land. This earlier structure now serves as a rear wing of the larger house, but began as the foundation of what was to become Bellair, a play on Thomas Bell's surname and the French term that translates to a beautiful place. Thomas Bell's daughter Elizabeth became a Washington in 1807 by marrying George Corbin Washington, a great-grandnephew to our nation's first president. Elizabeth and George Corbin Washington's son, Lewis William Washington, who was born in 1812, would inherit the estate. He's the one who enlarged and reconfigured the house, beginning in 1820, into the grander home we see today. Lewis Washington added the large front portion to the house, transforming it into a two-story, stucco-faced brick structure with stepped gable ends, each with a central chimney, set upon a tall stone foundation. He also added the Ionic portico, a nod to classical ideals of architecture, symmetry, and the refinement of a gentleman's home. The pilasters at the corners of the house and the thick band above the second-floor windows that evoke a frieze-like element are subtle, classical touches to the home. The older stone house wing to the rear of the main block connects through a two-story link that houses a stairway. The fine interior touches introduced by Lewis Washington include faux wood graining, faux bois, on foyer walls and doors, and imported marble fireplace mantels. All of these details demonstrate taste, wealth, and the power of access to materials. The residence became one of status. Lewis and his wife Ella became part of a network of the elite families in Jefferson County, linked to larger social and political currents of the time. Unfortunately, it was this prominence that made Lewis Washington a target in October of 1859 when John Brown launched his raid on Harper's Ferry. Brown's men targeted not only the federal arsenal, but also local figures who would draw attention to their cause. One of Brown's parties, under the leadership of John Cook, arrived at Bellair And it was in this room that they seized Louis Washington, along with a few of Washington's prized relics that he had inherited. A sword, allegedly given to George Washington from Frederick the Great, and a pair of pistols, allegedly given to George Washington from Lafayette. Also seized in the raid were several of Louis Washington's enslaved men, who were offered the opportunity to join the John Brown uprising, but they ultimately did not. It was reported that Louis Washington greeted his captors with a cool calm, saying, "You are a very bold-looking set of fellows. I believe with a pop gun I could take either of you in your shirt tail." Well, apparently he had no pop gun because he was taken as a hostage to the Harper's Ferry engine house. Soon enough, the Marines, led by Robert E. Lee, stormed the stronghold, and Louis Washington helped to identify John Brown. The raid and the seizure of Louis Washington and his relics, as well as the Washington family name being involved in such an outrageous act, gave the house a permanent place in Civil War-era history. Following the Civil War, Bellair changed hands many times and saw long periods of neglect. In 1973, Bellair was added to the National Register of Historic Places, acknowledging its architectural and historic significance. In 1980, Mr. and Mrs. Don Kennard acquired Bellair and embarked on an ambitious restoration, which ultimately consumed 19 years of their lives. In more recent decades, the property has become part of a gated residential community, fittingly named Bellair. Although the home now serves as the clubhouse of the community, really the community members serve Bellair. Their affection for the home is evident as they volunteer many hours toward its upkeep. Their love of Bellair will perpetuate its place in the local landscape and in history. Thank you for visiting Bellair with me, an old West Virginia home.